Well, there are three churches at SpringHouse: Lindale United Church of Christ, Salem Lutheran, English Lutheran, and then First Christian, Disciples of Christ. All three congregations were large congregations here in Minneapolis within the city limits, and all three were declining. Well, Lindale and Salem, their pastors knew each other, and Salem had a wall that started to bow out that they couldn't afford to fix. So they had to evacuate. They had to leave the building and board it up. And they went and started meeting with Lindale UCC. They didn't meet together, but they met in Lindale's building. Well, Lindale then needed to sell their building because they couldn't afford it, and they sold their building. So both Lindale and Salem needed to move out of the Lindale building, and they met at an arts building that's sort of catty corner here from where we are now. And they would look over and see Salem's building all boarded up and say, there's got to be a way we can do ministry together and use that building. Around that time, First Christian was declining, and they had decided to sell their building. They knew they couldn't afford it anymore. The Lindale and Salem pastors heard about First Christian looking to see what they were going to do, because they were looking at existing buildings. There's no way to build in downtown Minneapolis without millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So they were looking around, where can we meet? What can we do? And the two pastors heard that. They approached the interim pastor, who was Reverend Bob Bright, and they approached him about how to be a part of SpringHouse. And through much prayer and discernment, First Christian decided to join in. That meant a third congregation, and Salem English Lutheran building was renovated into SpringHouse Ministry Center, where all three churches live. We're separate churches, but we do all of our youth ministry and children's ministry together. We share resources. So when the utility bill comes in, it's shared by three churches. It's not just one church paying that utility bill. That's a really good question. When churches decline and maybe you don't have as many youth or as many children as in the good old days,
Glory days, yeah.
Yeah, the glory days. We had much more energy around our children's program and our youth ministry when all three churches met together. They're here in the building together. They see each other at coffee time before and after worship. They see the adults mingling and doing some studies together, serving on committees together. And so it helps them live into who we are as SpringHouse. They all go to their own church camps. The Lutherans have their catechism, and
Yeah.
UCCs do what UCCs do, and we have our pastors' classes and things. But that is, it brought more energy and a different understanding for the children and the youth of what church can be.
All right, Lori, so tell us where we're at in SpringHouse.
We're in our gathering space. This actually was part of Salem English Lutheran's sanctuary that's been divided up. And this is our gathering space where we gather for fellowship time and any type of gathering we might have. It's also where we do our baptisms. We do all of our baptisms together because we're the only congregation in the building that needs a baptistry. We put it in the gathering space because in our worship spaces, we rotate. We don't stay in one worship space so that we can't claim that it's ours and get too comfortable and start to decline again. So we rotate, and we would need a baptistry in every worship space, since as disciples, we kind of know when we're going to have baptisms, but sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
So we have a gathering space, and we gather before anytime there's a baptism, we gather together, all three congregations, before worship or at the beginning of worship, do the baptism. We all take whatever vows the denominations want you to take. And we say as a community that we are going to help the child know God. And it's beautiful. It's one of our favorite things. So I want to show you the gathering space. One of the prayers that we call our SpringHouse prayer is actually a Holden Village prayer. And the group that brought SpringHouse to life would pray this every meeting. We still end our SpringHouse board meetings with this prayer.
Oh, wow.
So it's on our wall. Now, I have to tell you, with COVID, we haven't been here as much.
Sure.
So you're going to see chairs piled up. And unfortunately, you're going to see them piled up over by the baptistry. But that's where our baptistry is. Welcome to the South Sanctuary. We're real creative with our names. This is the largest sanctuary. It happens to be where First Christian is meeting at the moment. The woodwork behind me was at First Christian's old building, and the architect brought it in and incorporated it to where it looks like it's always been here. This is a beautiful, beautiful sanctuary because we have stained glass windows as well as clear windows.
Yeah, a lot of natural light.
The ceiling, modern, right?
Yeah.
And then we have the beautiful stained glass windows. There's one over here that we laugh and say, if you just look quickly, it looks like Alexander Campbell, but it's Martin Luther, right? Was a Lutheran.
Sure.
We have an organ only in this space. It's the one from First Christian, and it was retrofitted to fit here in this space. We are now in the North Sanctuary, which was the chancel area for Salem English Lutheran. It was on this side of the building that a wall was bowing out, which is not bowing out anymore. It has been fixed. We have 4 columns that were put in to help that wall. And this is where the UCC church is meeting at the moment. You will see the woodwork from First Christian is up there on the wall, so that if anybody's from First Christian, they'll feel at home, and otherwise it just looks like some decorative, nice woodwork up there. This is a really nice worship space. The only window is the one up there. It's Jesus praying in the garden. You will see it is just a beautiful, beautiful. It's simple yet beautiful.
That's
Just
gorgeous.
give you
All right, Lori, so where are we now?
Tiff, we are in the garden sanctuary, and it's the only one that has carpeting. This is where the Lutheran Church is meeting at the moment. So they have their setup. You can see there's another grand piano. We have one in each space. I'm going to turn the camera around because there's something really cool in this space I want you to see. Not the exit door. So they're set up. Hopefully there's not too much glare. If you look at the lights that are the fluorescent lights,
Yeah.
the wood slats are the pews, were taken from pews that Salem English Lutheran had.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you were a member of Salem when the building was alive as just Salem Lutheran, you would be able to walk in and go, oh my gosh, there's our pews. And a member, then you would walk in and go, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen done. These stained glass windows are from a chapel that was here at Salem Lutheran. And now SpringHouse, we use them. Each congregation during Lent will take them down and then put them back up on Easter morning. We try to use them as creatively as we can. We also have a restroom that has a shower. We have a lot of groups come and stay. Pre-COVID, we had 2 or 3 a summer, and then throughout the year we'd have more. We've got meeting rooms. We do have a children's area that we call the squiggle space. I'll show you the door into that, where we do all of our children's ministry together. And that is, you've seen basically all of SpringHouse. So 3 churches are living in all the space that I just showed you, except for the office space. Each pastor we have our own office. Each senior pastor has our own office. And that's really, if you want to lock anything up for your church and keep it safe, that's where it is. So our offices turn into a bit of, storage area.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, we've been cleaning out. So yeah. So that is SpringHouse. I can't think of one. We have had so much life because of living together. We have been able to do more ministry because it's freed up resources. We've made incredible friends in two other congregations that when one member dies in a congregation, it really does affect the other two congregations. And when a new baby is born, oh my gosh, all three congregations celebrate and get excited over that. Uh, our office administrators all work closely together and become dear friends. And it's a matter of learning how to share space. I would say if there's anything to watch out for, you can't just show up during the week and expect that you have a place to meet in the building if you didn't reserve it ahead of time. And you really only
Yeah.
have access to your worship space on Sunday morning for your worship service.
So that would
Outside
be
of
a growing pain
yes,
for a church that's used to having the run of their building all day,
that's
every
right.
day, all week long.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are those kind of growing pains, but we've done it now for Lindale and Salem moved in December of 2011, and First Christian moved in January of 2012. I came in December of 2012. So we've lived this way for 10 years, over 10 years. For me, it'll be 10 years in December. And I can't imagine doing church any other way now. It would,
Yeah.
I just say, it would feel lonely to
Yeah.
be in a standalone church now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I think that's all my questions. Thank you, Lori.
You. Thanks for coming and seeing SpringHouse. And if anybody wants to know more, Tiff, you got my email. And if reach out and ask any questions. If you want to come and see, we always love for people to come up and see SpringHouse for themselves.